Welcome back to the SPL North America. Believe it or not, we're only getting ready for set 2 here after that doozy that was set 1. Finch on the desk. I got Graham Handyman Hadfield with me as well.
Good word.
Doozy?
It was a doozy.
It was, yeah. It certainly was. And Trifecta were the ones that ended up coming out on top in that set. And it was not easy. Splice made them fight.
No, it was a real good fight between the two. The funny thing is we only had 4 minutes of a break between the last set and this one. We could have been there forever with replays. There was enough game footage to actually go through everything. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I was trying to talk. They were like, hey, go to the break. And I'm like, but we want to give them all credit. They all played so well. But let's go ahead and take a look at what it is that they're all playing for, or rather the standings and how they end up shaping out after all that they played for. And Spacestation still sitting up at the top. Haven't quite played as much games as everyone else. In fact, we're about to see them play just now. But look at Trifecta right there with them with 4 wins.
And remember, only the top 2 from North America will make it to the LAN.
Wow.
So everything's still to play for here. Spacestation clearly in a very strong position right now with only 7 games played as well, where everybody else pretty much played 8. So this game right now is very critical for them because this could actually just put them over the edge where no one can really catch them or knock them out of making it there to LAN.
Yeah, let's actually go ahead and take a look at all the matchups that we're going to have here today, Graham. Let's see the ones that just happened, the one that you casted for what felt like 12 years, the Trifecta versus Splice one. LG and Space Station is what we're about to see. And then LG have a doubleheader. They're going up against Splice again, who we just saw take Trifecta all the way to Game 3. So Luminosity do not have an easy day ahead of them.
No, not against Splice anyway with how they're playing. In Space Station themselves, as we were just saying, like top of the standings in North America right now, they've been playing through Baskin the entire split.
Yeah, that Space Station roster is looking really strong. They're going to have their work cut out for them here with LG. This roster, I mean, to be fair, when we came into the split, we weren't exactly expecting a whole lot from this team, but they have proven that that was wrong, that they are certainly here to play, and in particular, keegsmate in the mid lane for them. This guy was strong on boxes. He brought it here to the PC scene as well.
This is a bunch of players with a lot of skill available to them that are actually a cohesive unit right now. They're not individually standing out, in my opinion. They're working as a team.
Sure.
And that's where the function of LG has really come from here, working well as a whole team. And Keeks is one of the backbone members of that, being the mid laner. Mid lane such an important role this season alongside the jungle.
And we heard We can talk about this a little bit in that first interview we had with him, that he didn't feel like he got stuck with leftovers or anything. This is the squad that he wanted. And I think we're seeing why. Their teamwork, their synergy, clearly it's there. And a lot of it is, yes, through this mid laner, through Keeks.
Sure, and I think one of the reasons a lot of people probably coming into this, and myself included, looked at this team and went, they're probably going to end up bottom of the league at the start of the season. Not saying they're going to stay there the whole season, but I expect them to, just because you're not going to have to learn all the communication with this team coming together. Sure, Weekend's played with a few of these guys, but a lot of these guys haven't played with each other. They're not all on the same page yet. What they have proved, though, is that they can hang with the big boys in North America.
It's not just that. I mean, who was their competition? Space Station, the Jeff BaRRaCCuDDa, Andy, Baskin Dream Team. I mean, E United, the world champ, CLG, formerly SOAR. I mean, it wasn't so much a knock on their ability, but it was that it looked stacked here in North America.
And it is stacked in North America, too. And you see the divide right now is 4-2 in terms of 4 still vying for that potential spot at Worlds. Oh, sorry, Worlds, LAN. Jeez, if they get Worlds off this, that'd be great.
Yeah, we're going to go right to Worlds here in spring.
Let's do it.
And then just stop season there. I mean, you casted a whole year's worth of gaming just now, right? So, I mean, why not?
I mean, it didn't feel that way. Like, normally sometimes long games do feel that way, but this one did.
No, it was a really good set. I'm joking about the length, but it was an excellent set. It really, truly was between these two teams. And I think we got a really good set here. Space Station going to be the opposition here for this LG squad, Graham.
Yeah, Space Station, solid per season so far. There was a lot of talk of Andy going back to the jungle. BaRRaCCuDDa Jeff been solid duo lane for the longest of time in North America. Nothing worse than a quarterfinal at Worlds with 1 World Championship under the belt. Baskin made the rotation from solo to mid a couple of seasons ago, and now he finds himself as potentially the best mid laner, if not the best player in the world.
Yeah, this Space Station roster is stacked from head to toe with talent. They've got world champions on their team. They've got potentially the best player in the world on their team. No surprise at all that this roster is doing well.
Space Station Gaming are performing, and ain't nobody surprised about it. Everybody knew that they were going to have fans. Shouts to Jeff and BaRRaCCuDDa. These guys are everybody's favorites, but it's for a reason. They come out, they consistently perform, and I ain't even been able to talk about the mid or the jungler yet. Andinster and Baskin combined. Baskin might be the best player on the planet, and Andinster isn't too far behind. This is a star-studded lineup. It's no surprise that these guys are winning every chance they get.
I want to say one thing off that too. Like we spoke on the desk just then, and F-Dot just was talking about that there. One player we don't mention is Aquarius, and
sure,
we should be mentioning him. Like, Aquarius really is a big part of this team too. He stepped into this role, and a lot of people were still kind of like, why Aquarius? Why not some of these other solo laners that are around the scene? Aquarius is making a big impact for this team too when it comes to those team fights and making himself a standout player as well. He could be a potential one of a superstar in the future in terms of like name power alone. We could be screaming his name every single week instead of Baskin.
Well, it's the same thing with LG. It wasn't that we thought the LG squad wasn't going to be good. It's that there's so much talent in the rest of the scene. Same for this roster. I mean, just by necessity, he's the last name you get to because of everyone else on this squad. But you're 100% correct. I mean, Aquarius has been playing out of his mind. In particular, that last set they played, I think it was on the Artio, where he just looked excellent. I mean, Aquarius has been playing at a high level, a big part of what this team's success is coming from.
This is going to be a big game for these two as well, because Spacestation Gaming, they can pretty much clinch here today, I feel, with how these games are looking and what's left over. This is a very clinch scenario. LG can play spoiler, but also play up as well and see how they are against the #1 current team in North America.
Well, we got to get it started, Graham. And where do we start? It's with picks and bans. Let's get those on the screen. LG going up against SSG, Space Station Gaming. Let's see what is prioritized. We've seen some interesting picks from this Luminosity squad.
The question is what do these two teams do in terms of the bans? Is it going to be jungle focused towards andinster and Weaken, or is it going to be mid lane focused towards Keegs and Baskin? Big litmus test for Keegs here as well. We've seen Keegs be very aggressive, play up and play very strong in the mid lane. But he's against Baskin, which we've been singing the praises of all season.
Yeah, Keegs might be the surprise player of the year, at least for me. I was not expecting his transition to be this clean, but he's looked really strong for LG. He's even played Poseidons. I mean, I don't know if you try and ban him, because it seems like he'll play whatever he wants.
And to be fair, there's a lot of roles now that you can't ban out a role anymore.
That's true.
People have enough things in the God pool. Everyone's God pools are big enough these days. In the Season 1, Season 2, Season 3 days, some players had 2 or 3 gods that they played all season. These days, different story. Everyone can pretty much play every god that is required of their role.
Achilles is going to be the first pick selection for LG. No surprise there. Very strong is this Achilles pick, and we've seen Weaken play it well. It can be played well in the solo. Even Geno could play it. There's a lot of options. It's a bit of a flex here for LG.
Athena Sol, I think that's a dual lane for SSG here. We've seen
I like
Sol
it.
more than likely go. I don't like seeing Baskin on Sol. Don't know why, I just don't feel like that's Baskin. We've seen a lot of BaRRaCCuDDa on this though.
Yeah.
However, Sol has had a couple of hits in terms of nerfs, and that's kind of brought her down a little bit now. Still surprised to see her being selected when other teams in the region and in Europe haven't been picking her as often anymore.
She hasn't been prioritized, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like Sol is certainly still strong. We'll get a chance to see it here in this game as the Artio Hachiman come out for LG.
And I was going to say prioritize. Well, prioritize taking that away from Aquarius, so you can't look for that again like you did in the set previously earlier this week. So that for themselves, obviously a little bit flexible, can solo, can support if you want it to. The Hachiman, true, tried and safe. One of probably the safest hunters in the game right now, just at all stages, pretty solid.
That Artio does feel kind of like a third ban, doesn't it? You just don't want to let Aquarius have that one as Dodgy comes in for Space Station. And this is a combo I've really liked. Andinster and Dodgy feel like a really strong combo here at the beginning of Season 5. He's a strong player in just about anything you put him on, but Dodgy is the kind of god that if everyone else is struggling, can still kind of run it by herself.
And junglers, assassins specifically, have different playstyles to them. I do say that Dodgy feels a lot like Thor, and Andinster is known for his Thor,
That's
so
true.
Being good on Dodgy is no real surprise to me. As the counterbans come through though, Finch, not touching the Achilles too much, but Weaken has had the best performance in the jungle on this god out of any pro that I've seen so far in the jungle position alone. Solo, it's been up for a debate, probably Benji, and then support, definitely Rafa from what we've seen so far.
Some attention being paid towards Keegs, though, Graham, from the Space Station side. They're going to ban away Discordia and the Morrigan. Morrigan, a little surprising. We haven't seen her as much, but Discordia, not only strong, but one that we've seen Keegs play well.
Yeah, and I think that's just one of the safety factors for doing that. I guess I'm not 100% sure why they want to ban the Morrigan away. Dodgy is pretty good against the Morrigan for the most part. I mean, the dot damage does cancel out the stealth after all, so it's going to cause a couple of problems. But better safe than sorry, I guess. You called it earlier on. You were talking about Keegs.
He plays it well. He really does. So I'm not surprised to see this picked up as Cerberus comes in for Space Station. A note on Morrigan, we have seen them be played kind of defensively, build-wise, because they can borrow from wherever they changeling into. So maybe it's they don't want the mid laner to be as safe, perhaps, or trying to take that away. Like they want to try and focus Keegs.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's not a bad idea to try and just put him on something that he's not going to be too comfortable on. Yeah. Although Poseidon, you know, he's going to be impactful in this game. Athena can't really dash taunt as well.
Right.
Get those whirlpools down, cause a couple of problems there. Cerberus can't leap away from the battle. And then again, Dodgy can't teleport.
Going to be limiting these members of Space Station as Sylvanus comes out for LG, a support pick that I personally am very fond of. Wrath of Terra is so strong. If you can land those pulls, they are difficult to deal with, but the Apollo coming through for Space Station, so maybe we are going to be seeing Baskin on the Soul.
I think we are. I don't think I see Apollo in the mid lane here. I do think we're going to see it in the duo lane. Yeah. So Athena, Apollo, a classic duo lane
it is,
for BaRRaCCuDDa and Jeff.
Wow, they've been playing this forever.
Season
Apollo
1.
Athena, yeah, really.
Whereas the duo lane for LG, a little bit more recent. I mean, Sylvanus has been around a while now, but still, Sylvanus, Hachiman, great pressure from those two in that lane.
It is a ton of pressure.
I expect to maybe see SSG if they're going to run this Apollo and the Athena. They may even start in the jungle in this one, just for safety.
If it is where those picks end up going, but we are ready to go ahead and go into game. Tom and Aggro are standing by.
Thanks a lot, Finch. Thanks a lot, Graham. And we've got a nice one coming out here. And I always sort of like to find one thing that I like about picks and bans, and I like the Poseidon for Keegs.
That's kind of one of his premier picks right now, it feels like. Now, I am a little bit worried about Into the Soul. I feel like Soul is a really good matchup against Poseidon. She can match his movement speed with her Disapparate, and that slow immunity on the Disapparate is a big one. It's really hard to confirm your Kraken onto a Soul solo, but that's what competitive play is for. That you can set up for it easy enough. I agree with you. I love watching Keegs play Poseidon, but on the other side, I'm excited for some classic BaRRaCCuDDa Apollo, man. I've been watching that since season 0, as I said on the desk.
Very true. Right now, we're going to ask you guys in Mixer Chat who you think is going to go ahead and take this game, whether it's Keegs on the Poseidon or it's BaRRaCCuDDa on the Apollo. Let us know who you think is going to be numero uno. But yeah, it's been years that we've watched this combination. I mean, you came down to one of the lands of the fan, didn't you?
Yeah, the launch tournament. I drove down from Pittsburgh with a lot of my friends, and we saw, you know, BaRRa and everybody else have a great time. And those days, though, Apollo, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that kit was something. I mean, protections, magical protections, and more physical protections on Serenade. The ult did more damage and knocked up.
The knock-up.
Whenever it finished. Whew, those were the days.
I don't want that knock-up. I want this game. Game 1 of LG taking on BaRRaCCuDDa and the hometown heroes.
Of course.
JK, LOL.
I should have known, dude. I should have known as soon as I started talking about how I was excited for it that BaRRa, I mean, look, BaRRa's Soul is like a thing, but really, like, Apollo middle? Come on, man. I should have known, man.
I take pleasure in your misfortune. Watching this one, though, the last time...
You thought it was for BaRRa, too. Don't sit there and
Hey,
pretend.
I'm just the dummy chair 1. You're the analyst.
Well, at least you admitted that you're a big dummy.
Well, that's my job, to be the dummy.
Yeah.
Check me in set 1, boy.
And you're very good at it because you're a big dummy.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the somewhat kind... I don't know if you're being nice or not, but I appreciate it nonetheless. You're staring into my soul right now. BaRRaCCuDDa operating on his soul. 73% think that he's going to be the victor this time around.
Well, you also asked him if it was BaRRaCCuDDa on the Apollo that was going to win, so you actually kind of misled the chat.
You know what?
See? Wasn't just me. By the way, this is the best Apollo skin. This is really good plays by Baskin. I love the skin selection here because sometimes you want to get the right one for your game to make sure you get the right confidence. This neon on the harp and on the finger guns really lets him aim the auto attacks correctly. Great plays by Baskin.
I hate that you used your analyst voice for that. That really grinds my gears. And we're starting this game on a terrible note. So let's go ahead and reel this one in real quick.
Yeah, my bad. Okay.
The last time I saw the Apollo mid was not a good performance. Mid laner who's succeeding now, looks very good right now, brought the Apollo mid out and was memed for a long time because it was just terrible. So hopefully Baskin can turn that one around.
Who was it? I don't even recall.
It was Heroin.
I should have known just by the tone. That was a very like heroin. It was heroin sort of tone.
Baskin finds himself in trouble as he tries to get into the jungle. Luckily, Daji's got the teleport over the wall and going to provide some of the damage, but a little bit of a dash from Weaken here. He is in the red, so he's got to be careful, but shouts to Baskin using that passive, making sure to pile out the damage.
Man, Audacity's still one of the best passives in the game, bar none.
Talk.
But He's got to be a little concerned about his overall mana pool. Didn't start with any mana potions. Instead, really doubled down on the sustain, both health potions and multi-potions. Plus, keep in mind, he's got Spike Gauntlet as his first tier 1 item, so that also provides him with a little bit of physical lifesteal. So Baskin really worried about his overall health pool, which is a good idea because he's really going to need to rely on the auto attacks to clear a lot of the time, and by standing around the wave and just hitting them with autos, you can kind of take a little bit more poke than you really want to, especially if you're trying to clear out a red buff or some mid camps. Apollo's not going to be able to clear those as quickly as a mage usually at this point in the game.
Well, the Apollo in mid lane instead of the Soul, I mean, I think what it comes down to is just player preference here. I don't think there's any particular reason that we see Apollo in mid lane versus in the hands of BaRRaCCuDDa. I think it's just what these guys kind of wanted to play. I think there's something to be said about Across the Skies making it from the middle lane to other lanes with respects to the gank there, especially against Poseidon and his speed. But really, like I said, I think it just comes down to the fact that BaRRa wanted Soul.
I agree with that. I think it also does have to do with the fact that mid laners right now are getting the bulk of the farm. If you go with the standard 2-1-2 sort of, or 2-1-1-1 sort of map formation, if you will. If the support is staying in duo, that ADC is going to get less farm than your mid laner. So I want to see Jeff really stick around this left-hand side, make sure that BaRRa is nice and safe, maybe try and put some pressure onto Clout and or Geno, and then try and let Baskin get the majority of the farm by himself. And he's been there a little bit, but not too much about standard for what you see junglers in the early game take from their mid laners. But if Baskin can keep doing exactly what he is right now, soloing reds, that kind of stuff, Apollo, when he can hit that late game earlier than everybody else, is incredible. So I really think it's the late game carry potential for this Apollo is really, really high, and Spacestation want to utilize that and let Baskin get further ahead than BaRRa could on the left side.
Audacity, I agree with you, one of the stronger passives in the game, and I pose the question to you, is Apollo a late game hunter like the likes of Artemis and Shibalonke and Rom?
He can be. I don't think that his early game is as bad as some of those other characters. It's not good by any stretch, but he can make the impact really at any point in the game. It's just not going to be... Apollo is the jack of all trades, master of none, is kind of the way that I feel about him. He can do well in the early game, he can do well in the mid game, he can do well in the late game, would I rather have Uller or Hachiman early game? Probably. Would I rather have On Her mid game? Yeah, probably. Would I rather have Artemis or Rom late game? Yeah, probably. But is there going to be another hunter that matches how well Apollo can do consistently throughout the course of the game? I think Hachiman can, and that's why we see him more prevalently than any other hunter right now. But outside of that, I really don't think there's a more well-rounded hunter throughout the entire course.
I think the best argument against that is that maybe he matches up to the late game hunters a little bit better than the mid game and the early game. But I'm certainly along the ride saying that he is well-rounded. With all of that said, he still hasn't been very prevalent in Season 5. Everybody kind of opting for the hyper late game, not even a hunter at all, or the Hachiman.
I'm surprised, I'll be honest with you. I really thought that with the bigger map, Apollo would immediately, players would really gravitate towards him because of his ability to make the map feel small again. He can, either abuse the fact that his ultimate lets him get anywhere, or he can abuse the fact that the map is indeed bigger and it just increases his split push potential, right? That's what everyone thinks of when they think of Apollo, I think, is his ability to split push and get out of danger without a whole lot of pressure onto him. And I feel like that Apollo is being a little bit undervalued, and I want to see some more of him, whether probably in Hunter more so than mid, but maybe Baskin will change my mind.
I've always been a fan of Apollo. Just the audacity alone makes him a threatening hunter, but the fun stuff that you can do with the mesmerize, being able to just interrupt abilities and stuff like that, it's a lot of fun.
It really is. Apollo, I agree with you. One of my favorite characters to play. My first Diamond God I ever got.
Really?
Yeah. I used to be an Apollo main. Well, okay, he was, like I said, he was something else with the kit that he had.
Well, back then, Apollo was the character. I mean, he was.
You could play him anywhere.
There were a lot less characters on the board, to be fair, but Apollo was one of the most popular gods up until season, even 3, 4.
Yeah, we didn't see a lot of him in season 3. Certainly, very little in season 4. Received a big nerf going into season 2. I believe is when he lost the knock-up on his Across the Sky ultimate, lost clear on So Beautiful. That kind of stuff. I mean, it had to happen. He was dominant in every facet of the game. But I really do hope we see some more of him, not only because I like watching him, but because I think he can be an impact in the current meta.
The other side, he can definitely be frustrating to play against because he just walks up that lane, and then he walks up the left lane while your team's trying to get Fire Giant, and you go and commit somebody to him, and then he goes to the fire giant.
Quick reaction there by Weekend, able to combat dodge underneath his tower, both actually using the ability to combat dodge, but dodges in combat in order to get out of there. I like the idea by Jeff and andinster, but the execution just a little bit off. Not even sure how much kill potential there is in that situation, because Weekend was full HP, had beads, had ult, maybe trying to force him into a beads that he really didn't need to use, but Weekend on point with holding on to the relic.
I think that was the call, to force out the beads without the Paolo. Right, you go and you get the Athena land. That's going to do a ton of damage, plus the jump and the one from Andy, and then you taunt, and he's got a beads because he's less than half HP. And then after the beads are done, pop up into the pole and drag him out by way of the Daji ultimate. I think that was the game plan, really nicely drawn up. But Weekend was just a step ahead. Really smooth play for Weekend to avoid what was a first blood drawn up play for sure.
Well, it's just that veteran presence, right? He's been in so many competitive games throughout his career at this point that, you know, tricks that might have caught someone like Keegs, who's still a little bit newer to the league, are just not going to catch Kurt off guard more often than not. The dude just has been there too many times.
He plays. He's always playing Smite, right?
Yep.
Dude streams like 12 hours a day. Not Geno. Gressed on, but quickly rooted out is Andy, who has to jump back to safety. Rotation, but not going to be fruitful for Space Station just yet.
A little surprised that Andy just doesn't lead with that 1,000 cuts, because you're root immune during that second ability for Dodgy. So if he wanted to just use the 2, get into position, then use the 1 afterwards, the enhanced auto attack stim from the horrible burns, that could have been the difference for at least trying to force something out of Geno.
Well, there's the pull into the ultimate coming out from the support player. Space Station's Hunter down for the count. Not Geno, finds it with the dot. Big damage coming out from his Hunter as well. Clout, Geno, and Weekend combined for the first blood.
Really nice play by Geno, and as you mentioned, it's all 3 of them combined, but I think the majority of the credit there goes to Geno. He starts all that off and does actually the bulk of the damage. It felt like between that Wrath of Terra and the Wisps. BaRRa used the beads and couldn't even get into that corporeal form before he ended up falling.
Just finding the pull there. That's I love watching Sylvanus players play fast and loose with it. Just throw it out there, because if you grab a player, that's likely to happen. You're shut down for so long between the distance, the travel time of the pull into the ultimate, and then God forbid you get them with the root after the fact. I mean, just toasted.
I love what Baskin and Space Station do in that situation. They actually, it's not often you see mid laners starting to proxy. That's kind of Baskin's old solo lane tendencies coming out a little bit, even when in the mid. But he's only able to do that because Aquarius is proxying at the same time. So if Luminosity wants to rotate in, Aquarius is going to be very close by to help out Baskin. Baskin hugs the right side of the jungle, comes in from that angle to make sure that Aquarius is close enough to him, and then that opens up the door for the red buff invade without Baskin being spotted out by Luminosity because of his path underneath in between the tier 1 and tier 2 towers.
We repeatedly call Aquarius this role player, this guy that just does his job and comes out and comes to work. Those are the type of plays that make Aquarius so valuable to this team. Just understanding that, all right, even if I don't want to proxy farm this is my job, so I can protect my middle laner and provide all of those variables that you offered up for that scenario. Aquarius is just the one going to work and doing that. It's all these things. They don't wind up on the highlight reel. We don't always get a chance to mention them, and they're certainly not going to be on the scoreboard. But all of those little points make Aquarius so valuable to this team.
Already finished off that Heartward Amulet for Geno, so he's going to be really difficult to bring down for BaRRaCCuDDa or Jeff, but Baskin and Andy could have a good, easy enough time going forward. He does have the tank boost, so won't be too easy to do.
Clout dashing out of the range of JeffHindla, letting him know about it. Love that flare. And that's something that Clout's gotten back. A little while where we didn't see that from him. And that's, when I see Clout being loud, I know he's back in it.
It's hard to do that kind of stuff when you're losing a lot. So
no, it's not.
I like the idea to just wait it out. Baskin gonna dash forward because JeffHindla is along for the ride. Defender of Olympus was there, but still out of range. Good whirlpool from Keegs actually slowed Baskin and Jeff down just enough.
Ooh, pull just barely missing there. Not Geno, not going to be able to find that one, but Space Station invading into the enemy jungle. There's the Kraken, but it's dodged out by Daji. Fantastic reflexes coming out from andinster there. trying to finish this one off. Weaken slowed a little bit, but Clout going to get up on the mount and look towards JeffHindla.
Jeff is toast. He gets executed by Weaken, but a great pull in from Aquarius. Found 2, and BaRRa's raining down the damage. Kiki just able to get out of range as Baskin's still going.
Yeah, keegsmate is here trying to provide some help. The pull under the tower. Baskin could be in trouble. Tick, tick, tick goes the Whirlpool. And again, NotGeno is the kingmaker there. Clout finds a secondary kill. But the first one, oh boy, NotGeno. Turn up.
Dude is a beast, and that's what I think a lot of people were underestimating about this Luminosity squad is that, you know, there are questions about how well Weaken's going to play. Didn't have his best season last year. Kiki didn't have his best season towards the end of last year after starting off hot. How good is this LG squad going to be? And their duo lane, I think, was criminally underrated by just about everybody. Geno, and it makes sense, right? Vedium, as you mentioned, now Clout, had kind of not done his best, but people had kind of forgotten how good of a LAN player he really is, and whenever he's into it, how well he can perform. Geno was new to the league, but the flashes that you saw during Season 4, I think, shouldn't surprise you at how well he has played this year. It's mostly been the Athena for him so far, but man, this Sylvanus has been making it happen for Luminosity.
That's what I'm most excited about, I think, is that Geno has had spectacular performances on the Athena and has looked just good enough on the other choices. This Sylvanus coming out has been absolutely up to par compared to his Athena.
And look at the way that Luminosity actually looked at their composition that Spacestation has drafted and said, well, we're going to just make sure that you don't get to do what you want to. Beads on all 5 members at level 1. Even Geno had beads.
Yeah. Got to be aware of that play. Spacestation Gaming here trying for it. They're going to confirm the Gold Fury just barely. And Luminosity trying to fight into it. Weaken just gets embarrassed. BaRRaCCuDDa turns around and shuts down the Achilles.
Geno still pushing forward, though. No blinker sprint. Remember, he just has those beads, and Clout's ultimate is down, but Keegs has that Kraken, and Geno is lurking, but spotted out by the ward by Spacestation.
He's got to be careful here. One of the downsides to Sylvanus is the lack of mobility, and wandering up there into the enemy jungle could be problematic if he's by himself like he was. Now, honestly, I think he was just looking for information, making sure that Spacestation couldn't come back or look for something different, so Geno kind of playing it fast and loose, gets out of there, but he's got to be careful about wandering by himself.
Pyromancer started up. Baskin's almost done with that Devo gloves, and he's got the Ichabal already, so he's hitting pretty darn hard. Knock up by Geno, kind of immune there. Kraken's good, and Geno's beads prove useful as Jeff can't quite find any other follow-up Aquarius with a stun, but Kiki, meanwhile, is still keeping Baskin busy by Pyro.
Nobody's keeping BaRRaCCuDDa busy. Takes the tower down to half HP on the left side. Here on the right side, Spacestation going to go ahead and look for the Pyro and confirm that one again, just barely. LG are trying to sneak into these objectives, and they're just coming a second too late. Aquarius needed 1 more second to get on out of there. 5 kills for Luminosity.
Baskin can just deny Keegs this wave, or maybe even get this tower. It's already pretty low, and he's hitting already for over 100 on this tier 1. Yeah, tower is dead, and Keegs has got to be careful here. He has no Kraken.
Yeah, the Apollo is a fantastic dueling character. Has the ultimate available, makes some distance, and then just gets on out of there.
You were talking about the frustration factor for some players with the Apollo. That's, you just see why right there. Oh, I'm in danger? All right, just a little whistle, and he's out of there.
It's, the worst part about it is that he can mez you, dash away to create the gap, and then ult.
Or just mez you and walk away, as Weaken just found out right there. Andy gonna chase him. Clout not that close, and yeah, Weaken's got to use the ultimate, but good pull in. Weaken had the beads, though, and they're able to force out the ultimate and the beads from his oppositional jungler.
Luminosity technically struggling. 5-1. They're certainly beating the players up, but the lead has been negated by Spacestation, able to counteract a lot of what Luminosity has brought. The experience lead, however, still large for LG, but it's largely on the support, which is not really where you want that level lead.
No, not really. I mean, Geno up about 600 gold over JeffHindla right now, mostly because of that first blood bounty that he got. So Jeff's been pretty close in gold afterwards, but XP still certainly in favor of Geno. But at least Weaken has got a pretty substantial lead in the jungle, 2 levels right now over andinster, who had that misclicked ultimate by the Gold Fury where he went up into the powwow, then immediately canceled it. Got to watch out for that kind of stuff. Wonder, you ever try to play, I don't know if you play on instant cast or not.
I do, actually.
Okay, well, I tried to play on instant cast, and then Fenrir ulted nothing like 10 times in a row, and then just decided, or Fenrir jumped because Fenrir ult's always on instant cast, and decided instant cast was not for me.
It's been an interesting topic of late. JeffHindla finds 2 players with the taunt, and the Kraken going to use defensively as Baskin shows up. The lifesteal is great, and he steals keegsmate's life right out from under him. But Andy's going to get pulled into the tower. Clout shows up as the rotation comes a little bit late. The damage done. keegsmate down. Kill number 2 for Space Station.
Perfect autos by Baskin. Can't really say I'm surprised, man. He's playing at an all-time level right now, no matter what the pick seems to be. But another great pull by Geno, at least forced out the beads from andinster. But this is the problem with Space Station's comp if you're Luminosity, is that if you give them an inch, they can take all the towers.
Luminosity gonna try and play defense. NotGeno in the wrong spot, and BaRRaCCuDDa finds his 2nd kill of the game. Meanwhile, here comes Baskin dealing with Clout. Oh, he's got to turn around the Hachiman a little bit too powerful. Tag in BaRRaCCuDDa, but the rotation out of the jungler. Weekend gets one. Clout
Nice
steals
auto.
it away. Ha ha.
BaRRa in trouble, had his Aegis there, but decided not to use it. Still trying to juke it out, finds Clout almost with that stellar burst, but still not going to be enough. BaRRa decides to hold on to both relics right there and accept his fate. It's a little bit too deep for Baskin and BaRRa.
Yeah, just pushing the boundaries, of course. Too small of a lead there. I like that play if they're like 6,000, 7,000 gold ahead, because that I always say force your opponent to punish you, right?
Right.
Get away with as much as you can while you're out. 2,000, 3,000 gold lead. All right, partner, you gotta calm down, pump your brakes. As JeffHindla says, howdy.
Why would he say howdy in that situation? I mean, I
Because
know
he's saying hello to his teammates that join him in the fountain.
Was he in the fountain? Keegs might be in the fountain soon, unless he has purification beads. andinster finds the pull in with the pal out. No, Keegs gonna get pulled in, but actually may have had him. It has held on to him. Jeff eats that Kraken, but Baskin's on the way.
He's gonna land right down here in the middle lane. Aegis is good, but there's the Mez, the dash, and he's safe again.
No, it's exciting. Yes, Apollo stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Apollo stuff, yeah. This is Apollo stuff. Needs that ultimate to be able to respond, but keep an eye on Aquarius on the back line. This is very low. Gold Fury, Aquarius jumps on in, forces the leash. Space Station Gaming are able to steal it away from LG, all because of Aquarius.
Kiki in the front line still, but he's probably going to have to retreat because Andy's coming back. Full HP. Aquarius, no ultimate, but slowing Kiki down. Beautiful stun as well. Kiki's beads now forced. Is Aquarius still looking for it with the taunts onto Geno. Andy follows up nicely, and just too much damage for this Sylvanus to stand. Another kill for Space Station.
I mean, what do you do in this scenario? Space Station are just beating everybody up.
Well, it's Luminosity who's still ahead in the kill department, and they kind of have been all game long, but it's objectives that win you smite games at a competitive level, not kills, and Space Station's kind of teaching that lesson to LG right now. You can get ahead in kills, but you got to be able to find the objectives, because that global golden experience from towers, from gold furies, from pyromancers is going to make up for those, 2 kills, there 3 kills that you are in the lead. Space Station's gotten every objective. I mean, LG got some towers down, but there's a tier 2 tower down right now in Space Station's favor, in that left-hand side. In the tier 1 and right is still pretty healthy, but between Soul and Apollo, those fall so quickly, it may as well be gone.
That was the key for me, is that we've watched Soul next to other hunters, and I think Hachiman is the closest one that comes to Apollo because of the fact that he has that banner, but nobody matches Audacity.
No.
Nobody matches Audacity, and specifically with this build that he has, the Ichabal into the Aussie, into the Executioner, just so much attack speed. He's machine gunning through these objectives, man. It's kind of obnoxious.
Clout has to use the beads, but they're a little bit late, and Andy punishes him for it. Didn't have the ultimate, so he was toast no matter what. You all right?
He just blew up.
Yeah, that's what happens when Soul Dodgy attack.
But it's like, I think of Soul without the ultimate as a sustained DPS character, because of the passive and how she is all about the basics. But then when you watch the Stellar Burst, actually, oh man.
I mean, most of that was Andy. Let's be real. Dodgy is the character that makes you die.
Are you taking credit away from our Lord and Savior BaRRaCCuDDa?
I would never dare. Ever. Not even when he's really far down the player damage charts.
Right now, Andy's trying to raise up here when Kiki's going to be controlled a little bit. There's the chains. And he's going to get pulled to the pole. Space Station on the retreat because of Geno's rotation. Weaken as well. PS, BaRRaCCuDDa split pushing in middle lane.
Geno actually uses the beads, but I think I'd rather see him hold on to those. It would have accelerated him towards the fight as Aquarius jumps out of the pool after the root by the Sylvanus player. Jeff going to dash forward, looks for someone, but the blink forward's there from Geno.
And JeffHindla's going to get controlled here, knocked up by the Sylvanus. The taunt not good enough. Here comes the rest of the players, and Luminosity's jungler making the late rotation. Clout going to join as well, but Space Station might have already done the damage as Baskin takes care of KikiSoCheeky and sit down the Artio will.
Clout lurking in the jungle, but again, even with Luminosity having an even fight here, it's basically a 4-on-4 because JeffHindla was forced back to base and didn't have his ultimate. You just can't withstand your tower standing up to Apollo Soul.
No,
it's just impossible.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Real smart, real fun combination here from Space Station Gaming. Picks and bans, such a big part of this game. Fire Giant already down about 50% HP, but they're not aiming for it. They're looking for the fight. Baskin picks up Geno, and just like that, the refocus onto the Fire Giant, and towers aren't the only thing this composition shreds. There's the Audacity, and there goes the Fire Giant.
Man, Space Station, I love the confidence that they're playing with because they fall behind a little bit early on. You know, they drop down in kills a little bit. Geno's hot on the pools and setting up for Luminosity, and Space Station just kind of yawn. They go, okay, yeah. This is cute. This is cute.
The thing with Space Station is they just go to work. If you're behind, go to work. If you're ahead, go to work. That's all they're doing here.
Oh, you're really sounding like Jay Billis right now.
That's actually funny. Did you know that he wakes up every day at 6 a.m. and tweets a Jadakiss line?
Yeah, he's got to go to work.
I love it.
That's why I made the reference.
Gotta go to work.
What?
You're not a Jadakiss fan.
No, I'm truly not. I've never actually heard. I knew it was a reference to something, but I just think of Jay Billis at this point.
Well, that's like Jadakiss's rappers all have their ad libs, right?
Yeah.
Like Kanye's got the and then Jay-Z's got hove. Mm-hmm. And then, well, I mean, you listen to hip hop, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
Well, what is your what is your little ad lib that you throw onto the track?
Gold Fury being taken by Space Station Gaming.
It's kind of lengthy, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a
not really feeling the energy either.
I'm a verbose guy.
Yeah, but that's not the point of these.
I mean, I don't need to ad lib. I let my
like the longest one that's acceptable is like DJ Khaled, right?
Way the best.
Yeah, like that's long, but he makes it work.
I guess
well,
so.
Enough.
I mean, DJ Khaled's just a matchmaker at this point.
Yeah, you're right.
He just shows up and goes, "Hey Drake, meet this up-and-coming artist. Make a single and give me 25%." Like that's his whole gig.
That's a pretty good deal for him.
I wouldn't mind that gig actually.
No, it's pretty solid, and Space Station's looking pretty solid here as well. Baskin finishing off the build with the chin size. He's got a decent amount of penetration between the Aussie and the Executioner that he can really make this work. And with the way that Space Station's been playing these team fights, this is perfect because Baskin's not trying to hit backliners in the midst of these team fights. Space Station's composition is as follows. Jeff or Andy pull out beads from the frontliners, Kiki and Geno. Then Aquarius picks them up and delivers them on a silver platter to Baskin and BaRRa. And Baskin and BaRRa go to work and cut them down. And that's exactly what this build from Baskin does perfectly. Even BaRRa, not going for the ability power route, which I'm still of the opinion that is the better soul build overall right now, but in this specific instance, this is the better build for BaRRaCCuDDa. This is not your, I got, their mid stepped up half a step too far, I could 2-4 and wipe them off the map. This is I have a tank standing in front of me for 3 seconds and I get to hit them a lot sort of build. And I love the identification from Space Station and how they've played around. Even Luminosity, who'd identified it themselves with Geno getting beads early on, Kiki getting beads early on. They knew, they just haven't been able to stop it.
Would you say that BaRRaCCuDDa's build slaps?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Would you say it in slow-mo?
No, I wouldn't say that either.
I think you should say it in slow-mo.
Nah, I'm good.
Space Station Gaming on the left-hand side, looking for the definitely not slow-mo left side push. Phoenix already down halfway. JeffHindla's going to eat the brunt of this one. Might even die, but dash out is strong. There's the jump in from the rest of LG. Kiki goes down to the hand of Baskin. Andinster takes care of Weekend. The rest of the team is next. Andy with the double kill. There's the powwow. And that one's going to hurt. Ouch. Luminosity on their back foot. Space Station Gaming filtering in. And this one looks like it could be over. Luminosity started off hot for the end of the game. To quote another rapper's ad-lib, yuck. Space Station on top, 10-7. 26.5 on the clock.
Just good team play from Space Station. Baskin had a great game. Don't get me wrong. He was tearing it up in the mid lane with the Apollo, but it's just the objective play from Space Station. It's the execution of their composition. And it's also, in that last team fight at least, little bit of fortune goes their way. Jeff actually gets cracking right as the Mantle of Discord proc happens, so he doesn't get knocked up, which means that he can keep on going, escape, and then ult back into the team fight. But to be honest with you, even if Luminosity finds that kill onto Jeff, does it really matter that much? The rest of Space Station just too far ahead.
Very rare is it that you can take a world-class talent like Andinster in the jungle and have him be second fiddle. To no fault of his own. Baskin just came out here and said, I'm going to pick literally whatever the hell I want. I'm going to devastate the opposition. It's going to give me the lead in the early game. I'm going to hand it off to myself in the mid game. I'm going to keep doing it in the late game, and Andinster's going to pick up my scraps. Not in an offensive way, but it's just because I can't reach those guys, and Andinster has the tools to jump to him, get the pole, just, oh man, what a great drawn-up play.
Impressive from Space Station, and that's what we've kind of seen from them. It's crazy to think that Baskin has, like, dominated the mid lane with picking stuff like Apollo mid, Camazotz mid. My man hasn't even touched Giannis this split. Probably the best mid laner. And he still makes everything else look better or just as good.
Listen, man, we're talking at length about Baskin, but let us know who you think the MVP was. I wouldn't be offended if you went down the route of Andinster even. Great work coming out from him. Aquarius doing a lot of just the nuts and bolts that this team needs. Again, you know, just small stuff, and even some of the bigger plays that Cerberus really making it happen in those late team fights.
Jeff as well had a really good game on that Athena. He was in the right spots and was able to set up for a lot of what Space Station wanted to do.
That's going to do it for us here in game number 1. We'll head to the desk and break it down, and of course we'll be back for game 2.
Thanks, Tom and Aggro. Y'all did a lot of breaking it down yourselves there, but hey, we got it here on the desk. Finch and Hindu going to be able to talk about it.
I want to say, like, what those guys were saying on the desk too, on the cast.
Yeah, you called it right. You called it right.
The one thing that's really interesting is if you go back a couple of seasons, Cyclone Spin was spoken about the same way Baskin is right now.
Yeah.
But he was in the solo lane. And the big thing that's changed now is that the mid lane is really the carry position, not the solo lane as much. But back then, Cyclone, Devios, two of the solo laners that most well known for, they chose whatever god they wanted. And they ran it, and they made it work, and they embarrassed people do it. And Baskin is having that season in the mid lane now. Funny enough, after he was once a solo laner, never got a chance to do that as much.
Doesn't it kind of feel like Baskin hears us saying that hunters aren't that good right now all the time, and he goes, really, huh? Well, then how about I just pick Apollo, a hunter no one even remembers, and I look like the best player in the game, because he probably is by all measures, as he looks excellent there in that game. But, I mean, he had a lot of help there from Andinster as well, but Mixer Chat, you voted, major voices heard, and how could you pick anyone else? Baskin going to be the MVP, 5, 2, and 3 with 23k damage in, what, 26 minutes?
That's the key, 23k in 26 minutes. Like, it's almost 1,000 a minute. That's what you're approaching there. That's crazy amounts of numbers. And that's kind of what you're looking for. If you ever see anyone going 1,000 damage per minute, you know they're having a good game.
You say that's what you're looking for? I mean, is it? Can you genuinely expect that to happen?
Listen, if
that
that's
often?
happening, it should be good. Now, I do want to point out, even though we're watching the Baskin replays, I think Geno had an amazing set on that Sylvanus. He made such an impact. Some of those pulls, he punished Baskin once with some of those pulls that came out through the wall and things, but just rough overall at the end of the day. LG got off to such a good start. The missed objectives around the goal for you, thanks to Aquarius, things like that, really sorted out that game for LG, for Space Station, I should say, and put LG on the back foot.
And even when they were up in the kills, as you said, they were like, what, at 4-1 at a point where LG had the kill lead. The gold lead was really never even a lead for LG. Space Station were keeping it close, like you said, playing the objectives well, the jungle as well, and Baskin and Andinster too on this Don G. I mean, they had a great game for themselves.
They really did. And then one thing to mention as well is, as always, the casters always say there's a reason for it. Kills don't really matter. Kills get you the objectives. Objectives is how you win the game.